guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. I'm so excited to be sharing this look with you guys. This is actually a recreation of one of my favorite looks I've ever done, and this is a Phantom of the Opera inspired makeup look. Now, I actually did the original one back when I lived in Los Angeles, and this was before I started recording my videos. You know, I just get bored on a weekend, so I'd do like a fun creative look one week and I'd upload it to Instagram, just a fun picture, and then I would start to record them. I wouldn't talk or anything, and then kind of upload it as like an Instagram tutorial. And this is actually the last look I did right before I started recording the process of me applying my makeup, and it's my favorite look, so I feel like there should be a tutorial for it on my channel because I just love it so much. And this was also requested back in November, I believe, so I'm so excited to finally be sharing it with you. And because it is a musical about love and other thingamajigs, I feel like it is kind of appropriate to have it around Valentine's Day. And what also makes this really fun, and this is so silly, I know, but here's my rose that I'm using this time. It's kind of dying because, you know, Valentine's Day is over with and everything. Also, I didn't know roses were so expensive during Valentine's Day. I mean, it makes sense, but it's kind of crazy. And this is the original rose that I did when I first created this makeup look. And I'm the kind of person who I will keep a rose from each bouquet I have, or just from a special event, and I will sometimes label it, or it'll be in a place where it's like, oh, this is the Phantom of the Opera rose. So I don't know, I think it's really cool that the original rose is right here, and then here's the newer rose, and I can add it to the collection. So I know it's so silly, but it's something that I think is really cool and it means a lot to me. So to just kind of have both here, and you know, I'm excited to see how much I've grown with this look. I basically wanted to mimic it almost exactly the same, except I did want to, you know, kind of tweak up and make a few aspects better. So I didn't want to change like the lip color, the color scheme, or anything like that. I barely pushed myself enough to add some shadows around the mask just because I didn't want to really take away from my original intention, but I did want to improve on it a little bit. Another cool thing is this mask is, you know, representing sheet music from the Phantom of the Opera, and I'm actually using the Think of Me sheet music as inspiration. So what you're seeing right now is real sheet music. It's not just random letters or, you know, anything like that. It's actual music. So that was really fun also. So if you guys would like to see me recreate this Phantom of the Opera inspired makeup, just keep watching. Hey guys, so to get started, we are going to be taking our NYX Photo Loving Primer and our Tarte Rainforest of the Sea foundation in medium sand and applying this all over our face with a large buffing brush. Then we're going to be moving on to outlining the mask. For this, I'm taking my Marilyn Paradise paint in white, and I'm taking my old reference photo from a year ago just so I can kind of, you know, get the idea of the shape again, and I'm going to start off by sketching out the mask. I like to personally use a white body paint because swiping it away the color and kind of starting fresh is a lot easier than if you're going in with something like a black body paint where you're going to be seeing some black shadows and remnants from the body paint. This one is just much easier to erase. So I'm actually bringing the mask down towards my chin, and I actually end up swiping it away a little bit more because I don't like how far across my chin it comes. You're also going to want to create some holes in the sheet music, so I'm just creating that now, and then I'm going to be refilling it in with my foundation color. Next, I'm going to be taking my NYX Total Control Foundation in Porcelain and applying this on the mask with the exception of the holes. We want to make sure that to leave those open so that they show the skin underneath. And I'm not going to lie, last time I did this, I actually just used white body paint and tried to thin it down. I absolutely love using this foundation in place of a white body paint. If I need it to be more white, I will just take a little bit of the white body paint and mix it together, but I didn't even need to do that for this. It is just so smooth. I absolutely adore the formula. I honestly wish that there was a body paint with this exact formula, that it was in liquefied form, because this applies so smoothly and I absolutely adore this foundation. Next, I'm going to be taking this white eyeshadow from my Morphe 35B palette and just setting my eyelid and making sure that it is nice and pigmented before we move on to our Graftobian Pro Paint in Gilded Gold, taking that on just a normal sponge and stippling that all over our face. We're basically just trying to break up the color and we're aging the paper. We don't want this to look like some nice fresh printer paper. We want this to look like it is old and wrinkled and basically about to fall apart. So kind of giving it that nice tea stained kind of look. To deepen this, we're also going to be taking this taupe eyeshadow from the palette and applying this around sporadically. You want to make sure that this is random and that it doesn't have any harsh lines. And I'm going to be deepening that with this darker color as well. I'm going to be concentrating the darker colors towards the edges of the paper as well so that it looks like it was burnt and the holes in the edges have been charred away. I also find it to be helpful to go back over with the sponge just to add a little bit more texture and also to blend this out using your fingers. I'm then going to be taking my Mare on Paradise paint in black and I'm going to be creating the sheet music. So obviously I'm using the Think of Me sheet music that I just found on the internet and I'm just trying to mimic that. I find that it is easier that because I have my old reference photo, I will hold it up in the mirror and replicate it that way. It's obviously easier to use the bars and just kind of, create the lines across the face. That one doesn't require too much detail just because you're literally creating just lines across your face. But when it does come to the detail of creating the treble clefts and the notes and everything, I do find that it is easier to use the reflection of the picture in the mirror so that it looks perfect, because otherwise if you draw it like you think it would look just on your face, it is actually going to appear backwards to the other person. Since you are basically just copying the music notes, it is kind of harder to explain exactly what to do. The best advice I can give to you guys is to just be patient and take your time. There is no need to rush, and sometimes practice makes perfect. This is the second time I've done it, and sometimes I realize things that I could have done better. So it's just kind of smart to take your time and not try and rush through it. Also, as you can see, I'm also writing a few other details on my face just from copying the sheet music, and I'm also going to be outlining the mask. You want to try and make this as thin as possible because it is just the edge, but you do want it to be a definitive edge to the sheet music. Next, I'm going to be taking my black eyeshadow from my Morphe 35B palette, and I'm just going to be deepening up the burnt edges of the mask. Next, I'm going to be taking my NYX HD Concealer in Fair and applying that to the other half of my face to create the highlights. I'm going to be applying it under my eye, the bridge of my nose, my forehead, temple, under my jawline, and cupid's bow and chin before I start to blend it out taking a damp beauty sponge. Next, I'm just going to go ahead and set all of this by taking my Airspun translucent powder. Then I'm going to go ahead and move on to eyeshadow. I'm going to start off by taking my Smashbox 24-hour primer and just applying that to my eyelid before I go into my Jaclyn Hill Morphe eyeshadow palette. I'm going to be taking this nice champagne highlight color and I'm just going to be applying that to my brow bone. Next, I'm going to be taking this light peach color and I'm just going to be lightly applying that into my crease, and you want to make sure to blend this out so it doesn't have any harsh lines and it just fades nicely. We're going to be building up that color, taking this darker camel color and just applying that into the crease, blending it out, and then we're going to deepen it more by taking a more precise brush, just building up that color and once again blending it out. We're just going to be using the highlight color again and just applying that onto the lid just to brighten it up a little bit. We're then going to be brushing off the excess translucent powder, and then we're going to be taking our NYX Epic Ink eyeliner and just creating some nice bold winged eyeliner for our eyes. Because we don't really have much in the way of eyeshadow, I felt like this was just a really nice bold statement that really pulled the look together. We're then going to be taking our NYX eyeliner in white and just tightlining our lower waterline. We're then going to be moving on to contour. For this, I'm taking my Too Faced Cocoa Contour Palette, taking medium and dark cocoa, and just contouring one half of my face, and I'm also going to be bringing that down onto my jawline of the masked side as well. We're also going to be applying our Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer all over our face before going in with our Lorac Blush and Tinge and just applying that to our cheeks. Next, we will be taking our NYX Bright Idea highlight, and this is in Chardonnay Shimmer, and I'm just stippling that on to the high points of my face before blending it out using my finger. I'm also going to be applying that to my collarbone and shoulders as well. I'm also going to add a little bit more of a pinky tone to it by taking my NYX Duo highlight in Snow Rose and just applying that all over the same areas as before. You want to go ahead and prep your eyelashes by curling them before we move on to taking our Benefit They're Real mascara and just sweeping that through our eyelashes. This is going to serve as a base before we move on to our fake eyelashes. Before that though, we're going to be taking our Bite Lip Pencil, and this is in the number 16, and we're just going to be outlining our lips before we move on to filling them in by taking our Lorac Pro Pencil, and this is in Rose Brown, and I'm just going to be filling in my lips. Next, we will be taking our Kiss number 11 eyelashes and just applying that to our lash line. Next, I will be taking my Graftobian Pro Paint in Red Crimson, and I'm going to be creating the candles on my chest. This was actually inspired by the Phantom of the Opera's lair, where he has literally hundreds of candles all over his room, and so I kind of decided that I wanted to incorporate that a little bit. So then I'm going to be taking my Maryland Paradise paint in black, and I'm just going to be outlining my nice rectangular candles, and this is also going to add a little bit more detail in the sense that we're going to make them imperfect. You don't want perfect rectangles, you want them to have some spaces, you want them to be dripping with wax, you want them to have shadows, and so taking the black body paint really helps enhance that look and making them look more realistic. Here I'm just taking my Graftobian Pro Paint in Fuzzy Bear Brown, and I'm just lightly applying some shadows to the candles. I'm going to be applying this around the areas that I have the black body paint and just kind of deepening it up a little bit, kind of making it look more realistic before we move on to adding highlights. So I'm taking my Maryland Paradise paint in yellow and orange, and I'm just going to be applying this over to the areas that the light would touch and really just brightening them up and trying to make it look more realistic. I have found throughout makeup, because I was never really good at art, but highlights and shadows really enhance the makeup look. So you want to always add that and focus on it as much as possible whenever you can, doing makeup on yourself or even just translating it onto paper as well. Next, I'm taking my Morphe palette, taking the black eyeshadow, and I'm just applying shadows around the edges of the candles so that they look more three-dimensional. I'm also going to be going back into my black, yellow, and orange body paints, and I'm going to be creating the candle wick along with the flame. I found for the flame it was easier to go in with the yellow first, start with the lighter colors, and then move on to the darker. So then I would go in with the orange body paint, and if you want to, feel free to add a little bit of red in there as well. And that is the completed look. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Leave a comment down below what video you'd like to see next. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel if you want to see more of my videos, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye! Those are the words. I don't know the words.